Lonestar Paranormal on with us. And it's good to finally see you tonight. I normally open up the show with what we've been doing, but I'm so tired from this weekend that I don't even know if I even want to talk about what we did this past weekend. We were all over the place. We were supposed to go to a family reunion, and that was supposed to be just it, right? Well, we ended up going to one of the oldest cemeteries in the town. And that was Saturday night. And then we went back on Sunday, and there's actually like a guarded and protected cemetery behind that one that was nothing but like a African-American cemetery that's protected and upkept. So that was kind of cool back from the 1800s. And then we were driving back to the highway to come home, and we went by another location that kind of was calling my name. You ever had one of those locations that's just like, hey, see me, come over here? So we went there. And then driving home, we stopped by, it was one more cemetery. So I don't know if you can see my sunburn from being out in the sun so much, taking pictures and video, but I'm worn out. I don't know how everybody does this every week.
What, was it you that...
Back to back. We're crazy.
I think it was you earlier that I saw that posted a picture of like an abandoned gas station, maybe?
But it looked like a gas station. It was actually an old train depot, and it was funny because where Diggin grew up, it was like the Home Depot, I guess, of wood, and so they would go out there for wood shop and pick their wood, and then go back and work on their projects. But
right.
That area was like this, I call it a train depot, but it was these buildings that had train tracks in it where it looked like maybe the wood and all the supplies and stuff came in. And we were getting a lot of creepy feelings in there. And at one point, I was hearing all sorts of stuff, like whispering and some footsteps and some things like that. And I had the Ovilus on the whole time because I'm like, okay, let's just see if we get anything. And so we're walking around, and I walked past that train depot part, and I walked back to the building that had been partially burned down where the wood used to be stacked. And all of a sudden I hear air. And I was like, yeah, I wish there was some air, some wind. I'm kind of hot, And then I hear hot. I'm like, yeah, it's Texas weather. It's hot, So I'm waiting. Deegan had gone back to the truck to get some stuff. And so I set my case down, and I sat down for a minute. And then all of a sudden I hear dirt. I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting on the dirt. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm having a conversation with a spirit like I'm talking to somebody. I need to start paying attention to what's going on here. So it was one of those definite, impromptu locations that I think we'll go back and visit next time we're in town just to see if we get anything else. But it was kind of cool.
Well, there's always places, that you're going through and you're headed to one place, and then you look and you either stop and you investigate, or you go on and you feel bad that you didn't go. And it's like, especially if you get in the back parts of McKinney and the Blue Ridge and some of those places. And
there's a lot of history up in that area. And there was really, I didn't know until we did some research on Hillcrest Cemetery. It was actually there before the city of Temple. You gonna get a sneaker? What's up, baby girl? You say hi? She is so cute. What are you doing?
I'm just being a stinker.
I'm being a stinker. I keep Daddy challenged. She's so cute. She's getting bigger, too.
Oh, yeah. I think that was one of the challenges with the group is before we had her, I could do kind of whatever and go. And now it's just kind of, hey, you have a baby. You have other responsibilities.
Yeah. Or it's, hey, I'd rather sleep tonight than go out and investigate.
Oh, yeah. Especially since I work nights every day and only have 2 days off a week. And everybody...
Those odd schedules, because I'll see you out investigating. I'm like, man, I got to go to bed and go to work.
Everybody knows that we have a weird investigation schedule already doing Mondays. And we tell people that, and they're just, y'all are weird. You're crazy.
But you know what? You can get activity anytime. I mean, we've done, we were doing our stuff this weekend in the daylight. And that's one of the things I try to make sure people understand. You can get activity anytime. When you have clients call you and they talk about stuff moving around their house and hearing footsteps, that happens during the day. It doesn't happen all the time at night. The only reason we investigate at night is to limit some of the outside contamination. People just don't get it.
Right.
It's crazy.
We get people that tell us they have stuff going on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 in the morning, 12, at just any time. There's a lot of people out there that they believe in, the witching hour, and you have to do it at 3 a.m. because that's when everything happens. And
you have to listen to your client. When your client says, look, it happens all the time about 2 o'clock in the afternoon to about 5 o'clock. That's when you want to go out there and talk with your people. That's when you want to go investigate.
Because I think we posted a question a while back on the Lonestar page and, ask when is the best time. And we had people that, were of the pagan belief, and they were sitting there telling us you got to do it at this time. And then people that had studied witchcraft, and they said another time. And then you got some of the Christian people that say you shouldn't do it any time.
I know, right?
So
I think that's kind of a good debate too, and we get into it quite often. People, you must worship the devil because you're not a ghost. No, in the Bible there's 33 different places where it talks about spirits, so it's not like it's demonic by any stretch of the imagination. And we have a lot of people in the field that are ordained ministers. So I mean, if it was really that bad, we wouldn't have ordained ministers in our field. We wouldn't have the Catholic Church doing exorcisms.
We even have people like Robert Hall, sorry, name slipped my mind for a minute, who is with the Catholic Church, and he's a real Catholic priest, sorry, there we go. And he's going out and he's doing things, and people regard the Catholic Church as one of the oldest churches and one of the most well-respected. And so if a Catholic priest is going out and doing it, then why not the rest of us?
Right. Well, and how many people do you seriously hear about getting possessed, having bad things happen to them afterwards? I mean, people think that every time we go out, we're going to run into something evil, something bad, a demon. I mean, I've been doing this going on my 4th year, and I have yet to run across anything that's evil. Now, I've run across some pretty pissed off spirits, but I run across pissed off people at work all day long, too. So people just don't get it.
Well, it's just like, we've had people since we've developed our Twitter feed, and people will post all day long, scriptures saying the Bible says this, the Bible says that. And what's funny is, we're all kind of, I don't know about you personally, but most people are kind of well versed on books like that, and people just kind of shove it in your face. It's like,
Yeah. Well, and it's funny when you can come back with scripture right back at them, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go. I love that challenge. People know it too. People defer to me every time, and I'm like, I got this one.
And with some people, there just is no arguing. They're set in their ways, and you have to do things the way they want to do.
Yeah.
You just go from there.
We've been fortunate. I mean, when we branched off from Torch, we decided we were going to keep the team small. So everybody's got like-minded ideas, and it's pretty much always just me and Deegan. So we don't fight and argue about a lot of stuff. We'll look at each other, and we'll be trying to finish each other's sentence about what we want to do or where we want to go. So it works out pretty good.
Well, and that's kind of the way that I like to run Lone Star is, I like-minded people. And, I welcome outside thoughts, people who, I don't agree with this or I don't agree with that. But when it comes to a group consensus, I want people who, at the end of the day, you're going to back each other up. And if a situation comes up, you can talk to each other in a peaceful manner.
Right.
And I've had people that, that approach me, hey, I want to be on your team. And then I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that and I don't want to do this. And I hate this and I hate this people, and it's just, try to keep things civil and peaceful and keep an open mind about it.
Well, and then you've got that negativity that affects the whole rest of the team. So if there's no positivity there, how are you going to be able to work together, and how are you going to be able to rely on that team member when you get on a location? I mean, I've seen people get spooked out and freaked out that you wouldn't expect to be spooked out and freaked out. And it's kind of like, okay, I need to know that I can count on you to remain calm, or that I know what your reaction is going to be when we're in that type of situation. And if you're going to freak out like that, then it's going to throw me off, and that's going to throw the whole vibe of the investigation off. And I don't think a lot of people think about that or look at that.
Well, and I try to tell people too, even when, because I have 3 or 4 managers on the page, and when they post, it'll post as Lone Star. It won't post as this person or that person.
Right.
And there are people who post negative things on there, and I tell people, if somebody says something, don't blow up in their face. Don't call them a jackwagon. Don't call them an asshole. Don't do things like that, because it's only going to escalate, and you're representing the team, because they don't know it's you or whoever, and if you blow up on people,
it's for everybody.
Yeah. So it's just it's better if somebody says something, either just delete the comment or, well, that's your opinion. Bye.
Right. Thank you for voicing your opinion. And that's it. Yeah, on the DNS page, I pretty much police everything there. Deegan will watch it and tell me if there's something there. But we've had a pretty positive page, and we don't start a lot of controversy. I was doing some Tidbit Tuesdays there for a while and some Wacky Wednesdays, and then work got kind of crazy busy and trying to get things going for the show. I need to get back to doing that, because we had some stuff that would kind of spark some interest and some debate and some conversation, and that's good. But man, it's a lot of work too. Doing a show, doing investigations and trying to keep that up, and I'm redoing our website and trying to get that to look a little bit better. I got a lot more stuff to do than worry about somebody's opinion on what I do.
Well, it gets kind of complicated, because I think just with our personal pages, there's the Lone Star page, there's my Rev page, there's this page, that page. Each of us has a Twitter, and it's too much to keep up with sometimes.
Well, and you almost have to delegate. So I take care of the team page, I take care of the TV show page, my personal page, then I help Deegan with his, I help Zach with his. Michelle's on her own because she's our social media guru. She takes care of most of our blogs. She and I share the YouTube. She takes care of Twitter. She takes care of, what's her favorite thing? Tumblr. She takes care of all that. So thank God, I've got 2 teenagers that are on top of stuff to help me with that. But the website's all me, and the marketing and the case management. I mean, when you've got a small team, you wear a lot of hats, and that gets a little crazy.
Well, that is kind of the way it is, and I've always kind of liked to just keep an eye on things. So I've set it myself as manager on all the pages. I let people do what they want. It's just I like to keep an eye on things, make sure that somebody's not attacking one of the group members, or they're not going off, just shooting their mouth off, and because it all reflects back on
the team.
On you as a team leader. If your team members are going out and they're attacking people, or if somebody's coming back at them and you're not stepping up, and then it just lands in your lap.
Well, and the other thing that you have to remember, and kind of what I reminded our people, Torch, we had our own personal pages, and I've had mine, oh my God, going on 4 years since I've been doing this, and I always tell people, this is my opinion. This isn't my opinion of my team. This is my opinion. But now that we have DNS, it's our opinion.
Right.
Together. So, and I tell people, my personal para page is going to be, I will tell you about my experiences. I will show you my pictures. I will show you my video. I will show you all of my stuff. But I'll also make fun at my expense. So you'll see some funny stuff that I do. You'll see some of our crazy little videos that Michelle and I do. You'll see, what we loaded from this weekend, some of our footage from this weekend, kind of walkthroughs and behind the scenes. You'll see all sorts of stuff on my personal para page. But on the team page, we try to keep it clean to just, what we've done, what we've got coming up. So there's really not a lot of, I don't know, distraction on the page, for lack of a better word.
Right. It's just, it can be a hassle. I know people that have been burned out so fast because they get into it, they're new, and between running the pages, uploading pictures, going out places, running in gas, and it's just, they get burned out so fast on it.
You have to pace yourself. And anybody coming into this, we've kind of seen it a little bit. Anybody coming into it, it's not fun and games. You're not going to get something every time. You're going to spend more nights sitting, looking at nothing and hearing nothing than you are seeing something and hearing something. And a lot of people, it's not like Ghost Adventures where we go in and boom, 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 there's activity. They film that over a week. People. Right. And they take the best snippets and put it into an hour. I mean, why do you think there's 30 minutes walk up, build up to the investigation, only 30 minutes of an investigation? And that's after a week. So don't think you're going to go out and get something in a night.
We've been in people's houses before because we tell them, we take video while we're there. They expect, because they've seen the TV shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Ghost College, whatever you want to watch, and they're expecting you to bring in this big audio and video camera, and they're expecting you to bring a camera crew, and they see 3 guys come in with a couple of duffel bags, and they're like,
this is it?
No, that's not what I thought. And
well, and then what's so funny is you pull out one of the gadgets that they see on TV, and then they're like, oh, okay, these people are serious. Really?
Right. Well, it's like, oh, hey there. The K2s,
Hey, what's up with that?
The K2s people look at, and they
Hey, I'm going to ask you something. Do you need anything from the house?
No.
Okay. Hi.
And you're live on DNS Live. That's what we love about live TV.
But people see the gadgets in your hand, and they want to know how it works and what it does, why it lights up, and why it's beeping. And
yeah, and you're like, hey, I'm trying to work.
Well, and it's like some people, we had one person that the brother was really into science, and, he's sitting there trying to throw scientific theory into it, and he took something this small, and it just became bigger and bigger and bigger, and
the whole time you're like,
I appreciate science, I really do, but I'm trying to explain something simple to, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old kid, and they're not going to understand astrophysics. And
No. And they think they know it all anyway. So they're not listening to you.
It's like Sheldon and Penny. It's just, you either get it or you don't.
Exactly. So where have you guys been lately? Mostly privates lately, or what?
We've been going from here to McKinney, here to, we went out to Denison, here to Greenville. So we've been putting miles on my car.
I was going to say, where are you guys at?
Terrell,
yep.
So Terrell to Denison is, I want to say, an hour and a half. So racking up the miles on my HHR.
Yeah. There better be some good stuff at the other end of that drive.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I always try to find something along the way, if there is something, and make a couple of stops. That way you don't have to get back at the end of the night and put on Facebook, well, that blows.
Yeah, we did nothing tonight. Sorry. We call it recon. Yeah, we just went and did some recon.
we got your hopes up. Sorry.
Sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
Well, it's just, we get the messages from people, and, my dog is floating, or books are flying off the shelf, and the bookshelf is miles away, and you get there, and it's like, the dog is on the couch, the bookshelf's over there.
Nothing's happening.
What's going on?
Nothing.
And it's just, we always have to ask people, when does this stuff happen, or when's the last time it happened? You emailed me in January. Between January and now, you haven't had anything, so it's just, I'm willing to come out.
Yeah, what made you think about it now?
And I always get in trouble because I like to ask questions when I get somewhere, and I tell people up front, I have a set of questions I ask. I always ask, have you been prescribed any antipsychotics?
Yep.
Have you been treated for a mental disorder? And people get really offended by it sometimes, and it's just like, I'm sorry, it's just part of the...
I have to go through it.
And,
I have a packet that I do, and I'm like, we're going to go through all these questions. You can ask me questions as we're going through it, but I have to ask these questions. And it's like, once you give them that expectation, they're like, oh, okay. And then sometimes I'll be like, even if you suspect that maybe they might be on something, be like, no, you're not taking anything like this, are you?
yeah,
No, okay, well, I didn't think so. And you're kind of like, maybe.
Well, and I never get scared to ask. We go to people's houses, and they're showing us the bedroom and the bathroom and all this. And if something's laying out, pill bottles that I see, I always ask, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get in your business, but I'm just trying to make sure that you might not be tripping on LSD while I'm talking to you.
Right. are taking some kind of sleeping medication and you think you're being bothered at night, but you're really, tossing and turning in your sleep or something.
Yeah. It's just like, I've had people before that have sent me just the weirdest emails about, I think somebody sent me one that they said they saw a unicorn, and I'm just like,
okay.
I don't
off.
I know there's some paranormal groups that search for unicorns, but I don't know what to do with a unicorn if I found one.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm sorry. I don't run a zoo, and I don't run a petting zoo, so I have no use for a unicorn. None.
Well, it's like I've heard here lately, and I think the town is Axtell, outside of Waco and Temple, that they've got their own Bigfoot legend.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to look into that. Deegan's been wanting to go Bigfoot hunting with some of the boys from NPS that we've been kind of doing some stuff with lately. So we'll get our thermal out the end of this month, beginning of next month. And so we're kind of waiting for that to go Bigfoot hunting. And I swear to God, if I see a Bigfoot while I'm out, you'll probably hear my scream all the way up here, because I can handle spirits and ghosts because I can't see them. I can interact with them, and they can't physically harm me. But a Bigfoot could probably take and knock me on my ass and put me in the hospital.
That's what always makes me laugh. I was watching what is the Jack Osborne show, Haunted Highway, or
something? Yeah, I think that's right.
And they were searching for like the tall man or something like that. They were on Indian land because they had to take horses to where they were. And
oh my gosh!
Looking,
no, we better have a shotgun, a rifle, something, because I'm not. Now I'm going to tell you straightforward. I'm still a skeptic of ghosts and spirits, even though I've had my own experience with my dad. I still want to prove that. I'm a skeptic of Bigfoot. Yeah, there might be some big hairy ape, some Sasquatch running around there, but I know for a fact there are raccoons, possums, cougars, cheetah. I know for a fact those animals exist, and I know they're probably out there where Bigfoot is. They can hurt me.
right.
I don't want to be around that. That's not paranormal. That's stupid, messing with death.
And I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. People don't realize when you're out in the wild and stuff, you run across snakes and this and that and the other, and they go out with, your K2 is not going to help you with a snake bite.
Heck no, you going to throw it at the snake? What are you going to do with that?
It starts lighting up. I mean, there may be something going on.
I know we've been about carrying like a pellet gun or a BB gun or, something like that to be safe, but I'm like, man, if I see a snake and we're outside, I'm running to the car and I'm done for the night. We can come back and do a daytime investigation, but I'm done.
You got the ghost of the last guy that got bit by the venomous snake.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. And I'm sure that would be on video, and I'm sure to get millions of YouTube hits because Sherry would be screaming bloody murder, but yeah, no. I can do a lot of stuff to get some laughs. That's just one day that just won't be that funny.
It's like I get really envious because, we meet people from all over the world, and I have friends in like Germany and Australia, and they're always telling me come out on our investigations, and if I had the money I would. If they're going to fly me out, great. So if you're in Germany or Australia and you're watching this, you want to fly me out. But
we'll take that sponsorship.
I
and add it on.
I know personally, I have friends that are from Australia, and they say the spiders are like this big. And
no, thank you. No, thank you.
Don't like spiders. Don't want to mess with
spiders. Sky or something like that. You can take me on, but I'll let you have that experience. It's not going to be me. Sorry.
That's what I would
to go through that international
sad. I look at these profiles from the groups from England and stuff, and here we've got houses and apartment complexes that people are calling you out to, and I see on friends' pages, we're going to this castle. And
castle, I know.
I want to investigate a castle.
I want a castle. I want a pub. I want something cool.
How many castles do we have in this country? The White House would be close.
Official castles. So I don't know. There's some mansions down in Highland Park that are probably castles.
Close enough. People get shot up there all the time.
You get lost in it. It might have some history to it. Might have some. What's y'all's next big investigation coming up?
We're gonna do the Hotel Lawrence again at some point.
I know. I was gonna ask you about that. Like, are you going to get a bunch of people together, or what are you thinking?
They're gonna give us run of 2 whole floors. Well, I say that I may want to check back on that, but last time we were on the 10th floor, and that's the one where they say the girl had jumped out of the window in the 60s or 70s. It fell to her death out on the ground, and last time, just because the hotel, they get people that are paranoid about it, so they put everybody on the 1st through 9th floors because they said that people have checked out because they've seen some of the ghost hunting teams go through there, and then they get spooked. And I paid big money for this hotel room, and there's ghosts, and they're on
like
my
you
door.
didn't do your research on the freaking hotel to know.
And so they've had people that have spent $200-300 for the night and demand their money back. So what they try to do is keep you separate. It's like they told us before we went in, discreetly bring your things through the lobby in a bag where they can't be seen.
Right.
Don't tell people what you're doing. And so it's just they're trying to protect their business because they do make a lot of money, and they're really great people, but at the same time they don't want you to scare off the guest.
Well, and the thing is, if you Google the hotel, you'll see it.
It's all over the place, haunted hotel, senator dies in hotel, and it's just all over the place.
Well, I took the Dallas Ghost tour down around the West End, and one of the stops is the Hotel Lawrence. They take you into the lobby. And, excuse me, he was talking about trying to put together a hotel tour where you would not only go to Lawrence, but you go down to Adolphus, which is my favorite place. So, right. I mean, we went down to the Red Courthouse. I learned a lot about what used to be an old Dallas cemetery that the West End was built on in that parking lot. There's a lot of rich history there. The West End's actually haunted. I got some stuff on my camera that night just doing the ghost tour. And it was funny because everybody else was there for the novice and the fun of it. And I have my little mini backpack and I got all my equipment and I'm taking pictures and I'm doing this, that, and the other. And the tour guide's kind of getting a little perturbed with me because I'm like hanging back and everybody's like, did you get anything? And he's trying to give his spiel. And I'm like, I am so sorry, dude. But if it's a ghost tour, I want to know if there's any ghost. And sure enough, we went into the basement of the West End. It's a haunted house now. And there was some activity there. Like, I actually heard a woman's voice. I caught some light streaks. I mean, there was all sorts of stuff going on in there.
Well, there's the rumor, and I read it on Google somewhere, that at one point back, in train travel days, that they were shipping bodies, to funerals for miles and miles. And one of the stops was somewhere there in the West End, and the bodies were being unloaded. And, they were keeping them in a basement, keeping them cool. And the story goes that like a traveling circus or something came through and they started selling the body parts on the black market. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't have any idea.
But there was a circus down there. They're actually, if you've ever been down to the West End, it's the West End and then Spaghetti Warehouse, and there's a parking lot on the back side of that underneath all the highway passes. That whole parking lot used to be the original Dallas Cemetery, and it was actually segregated between whites and blacks back then. So there were two cemeteries there. And they said when they started digging some more, they relocated all the bodies, they built part of that area. When they started building again, they were actually digging up bodies, and they had to stop and go back, dig all that up, and rebury those bodies elsewhere. There was a big controversy about that. So there's a lot of activity there, a lot of activity up there.
People don't realize if you go a little further up into downtown Dallas, some of the buildings that are there, and I can't really say which ones because I'll get in trouble, but there are certain buildings that are built on top of other cemeteries. Part of the cemetery is still there, but big other city buildings were built on top of the other part of the cemetery, and those graves were moved. So,
well, and if you do your research, you'll figure out which ones they are. And if you do the stores down there, you'll figure out which ones they are. But that whole area down there used to be one big cemetery. That was the original Dallas Cemetery.
And, it's just there's so much that's been moved through the years, and people don't realize that. And
there's a lot of history in Dallas, like the Cox Cemetery, over there by White Rock Lake. That's all locked up and kept up. There's a lot of Masons buried in there. There's a lot of rich history there. I was tickled to death when we went to Temple. There was some Texas historical markers in that cemetery, and we made a pit stop on the way back 35. There's a couple of big cemeteries. We hit one of them and didn't even know there was a historical marker in there too. So there's a lot of rich history, all around us, and we don't really think about some of these tombstones go back to the early 1800s, and they're probably the coolest ones to go and check out. And we found some that were kind of cool. They weren't true mort safes, but they had the fences, around the place, and there was a headstone and a footstone.
Well, it's like I've heard from people before that I know that have acted on TV shows filmed there in downtown Dallas, and they shoot in some of those abandoned buildings there in the West End, and they'll tell you at night it's creepy. Hear things moving across the floor, and
yeah. And what's funny is when I was a teenager, this will kind of date me, but when I was a teenager, we'd go down and hang out there. Alley Cats and the West End and the Dallas Alley, and I remember when there used to be a big old arcade and all that down there, and they were even talking about back then with the nightclubs and stuff, there was activity down there.
Well, it's like I've been in the vault, which is down in the first floor of the Marketplace building. That's where I guess the arcade was. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say I'm a lot younger than you. I'm a couple of years younger than you are. So, I don't know the layout of it, but that vault is weird.
Well, everything down there. And if you think about it, if it used to be a cemetery down there and you've got this is under, heck yeah, you're going to have some activity around there. People think it's just where the bodies lie. It's actually where tragedy happened most of the time, or it's where, these spirits had a good time, or there's something memorable there. I mean, they're going to be there. You may have moved their body physically, but they're still there.
Because that building now, it's just, when I was in there, it was abandoned and creepy. And, I've walked through the movie theaters that used to be in there, and it gave me the creeps.
Yeah, it's still, I think there's a few businesses, if you're walking down Dallas Alley, there's still a few businesses on the right-hand side, but it's not as lively as what it used to be. And then they've got that haunted house down on the left-hand side, but, I don't remember on the couple of floors going up if there was anything still there or not. Right. And it's sad because that used to be such a happening area to go down to, and it's desolate now.
Well, it's like now everything is moved to Deep Ellum, and even that, people want to get permission to go into certain nightclubs, and we've been down quite a few times.
Well, and where else is there? There's
Herman Hall. I think that's still in the Deep Ellum area.
Yeah, there's another one. But even in the Spaghetti Warehouse, they were telling us stories about that. And, and it's still going strong down there. I'd love to go there and have dinner and have my water pitcher move across the table,
It'd be real nice if the city of Dallas would rebuild the West End, because it used to be such a thriving center, and now you've got American Airlines.
Yep.
They moved everything into Victory Plaza, and they've opened up restaurants there, and they've just kind of forgotten about the West End, and it's sad.
Yeah, because, those of us that are, young enough to remember, there was a lot of good times had down there. That was one of the places to go where you could just park and go to 8 or 10 different places. And now, it seems to be moving further north.
Well, and I've seen pictures that friends of mine have where I think it was Eddie Van Halen played there on the square and where the big alligator is outside the building. And it's just, thousands of people gathered there in the square to watch him play, and now you go through there and it's just dead.
Yeah, it looks like you're waiting for a tumbleweed to come through there. There's a building kind of across from West End, and I can remember there being this really, really cool club there, and where the dance floor was used to be where the trains would come in. And so after going on that ghost tour and hearing the guy tell the story, I was like, oh my gosh, here we were in there, and this place is probably haunted. We didn't know about it. You know what I mean? And you look at it now, and it's like, okay, the building's dead. And, as somebody that likes to go out and hunt the paranormal, you're kind of like, excuse me, sir, can I take a look at your property? Just an hour. Just an hour, well, maybe 2.
It's funny when we're going somewhere that, we want permission or we want information on. Most of the time we'll contact the police or the sheriff's departments. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times, hi, I'm with Lonestar Paranormal, and, I want to investigate this building, and on the other end of the line,
They're like, no, really?
They're like, let me transfer you.
And they weren't going to transfer you into eternal hold.
You know, when they put you on hold, you know, they've got, this guy's on the phone and he's with a paranormal group. Who do
I think he's smoking something.
You know, with a couple of small towns, I've been given over to the chief, and you know that's kind of scary. You get the chief of the police on. You're with what? Lonestar Paranormal. What do you do? I ghost hunt.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna think it's ghost. Why are you wasting my time? It's just
like, you're wasting my time. Just let me in.
Sorry, chief.
Well, I've had one of the McKinney cops at Pecan Grove. It was so funny. We were getting ready to leave, and so he came up and he stopped us. He's like, what are y'all doing? We're like, we're ghost hunting. He's like, well, let me see your license. I said, we don't need a license to ghost hunt. And he's like, no, let me see your certification. I said, there is no such thing. And he's like, I know that. I was just kidding. And we sat there for 15 minutes shooting the shit, but I was just like, you're going to give me grief. You know, I'm going to give you grief right back. And I said, well, hey, can we go over to, you know, the cemetery around the corner? He's like, I don't care what you do. Just make sure you let us know you're over there. I was like, okay. Because everybody's like, you can't go in that slave cemetery. I'm like, well, I was going to ask. Where's he? Let me know.
I saw that you guys and Eric a long time. I guess it was a couple months back. Y'all went to White Rock Lake, and
yep.
You went by Cox Cemetery. And we got out at Cox Cemetery a while back and started taking pictures. And you know, cars are stopping. What are y'all doing? We're just taking pictures. We're not trying to break in. And
yeah, we're not doing anything. You know, it's funny. I think we only had one car that's the whole time that we were out there, and it was one of the neighbors that wanted to come up through the alley. Yeah. But nobody else walked up to us, you know. We walked all around Bright Rock and all around Flagpole Hill, and, you know, nobody walked up to us, asked what we were doing, and, you know, we've got filming equipment and pictures and all sorts of stuff, but people pretty much left us alone, and there's still a little bit of work we still need to do on that Urban Legends series and going back out to White Rock, so I'm kind of looking forward to going back out to the lake. Shane had started doing some experimenting on one of the bridges where they believe that the Lady of the Lake actually went into the lake and turned around, and the batteries had gone out on the camera. So he's out there for 30 minutes. We're laughing our asses off because we're watching him from a distance do this dancing and all this across the bridge, and none of it got picked up on film because the camera battery died. And it had fresh batteries in it when we started, so that was kind of funny.
I've been doing a lot of research on it. You know, we've been out there, I think, 6 times now. And, you know, I always get members of the group who haven't read the material that I send to them. And, you know, over the years, the legend has, you know, exacerbated and become such a big thing. The original one that I found was from, like, I think 1937, where a girl and her dad were in a little boat, and it capsized and she drowned. And then later on, it became she was in a car, and the car went off-road and she drowned, and husband was going to drown his wife, and then she drowned. And
it's all changed. Well, I think the original story, if I gather it right, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but the original story was way back in the day on White Rock Lake, what they would do is go out there on the boats and they'd drink because of the prohibition area. And so they could go out on the boats in the middle of the lake and drink and not get busted. And the story has it, a man and his girlfriend are in the boat, they're drinking. I'm not sure if he broke up with her or if there was an argument, but that's what happened, and she fell off the boat and drowned. Right. Now, I've also heard, in addition to that there was a car driving down the highway, lost control, and ended up in the lake. So I've actually heard 2 stories that weren't really a reflection of the one. So it's kind of hard to go back when you've got all these variations and all these rumors and actually get down to the facts. So there's still some research, like in the newspaper and down at the city, that we need to do to really figure out what really happened.
Well, if you go back and research, there's even been people who were shot and thrown in the lake. And I've seen at least one drug deal that's gone bad, and it's always women, it's never men, and I don't understand that one. So there could be a gang of women out there. It's the ladies of White Rock Lake.
And that's getting them drawn in.
Well,
oh yeah, that's the other thing Deegan was saying. I don't know if you heard him or not. We were waiting on Shane to finish up his part, because when you film alone, you actually are doing your part alone, and the rest of the crew, we go off and go do other stuff, and we do some documenting of other stuff. And we're walking along the lake, and Deegan's like, come here, look at this. There was a dog floating in the water. And we were like, oh, that's kind of sad, blah, blah, blah. We walked down a couple more feet, and there's another one. So we're like, what the hell is going on with all these dogs floating in the water that are dead? And both of them, both dogs were headless. So it's kind of like, what's going on down here? You know, is there something eating the dogs? Is there something happening to the dogs? We didn't know. It was kind of scary. And, you know, some of the people that hang around there at night are pretty scary, too, on top of that. So there's a lot of safe investigating, I think, that needs to go on down there. But, yeah, I'm curious to see, you know, what we really are able to turn up as fact from history.
Because if you go out on the bridge that sits back behind the dog park, you'll see on the bridge itself that people have drawn the pentagram out there and just written all sorts of weird stuff. It's like one of the trees that's right behind the dog park. Somebody had nailed a set of Lexus keys to the tree last time we were out there, and I was sitting there thinking maybe there's a Lexus at the bottom of the lake.
Maybe there's stuff
I'm not
that.
going to go swimming for it because I don't want it that bad.
Well, but if you think about it, like we're out here near Lake Louisville, and there's a lot of accidents that happen on the lake. You know, people are out there drinking, and accidents happen. People die in the lake. You know, White Rock is so popular that kind of stuff's got to happen out there too. So we're talking about more than just Lady of the Lake. We're talking about some of these other tragedies that have happened, and you never know who you're really talking to if you get somebody out there.
Right. And it's just, you hear rumors from people like my granddad used to say, I picked her up, I swear. And it's just, you get all sorts of people, well, I seen her and she was over in there and she had a white dress on. And I think some people, you know, may have heard the legend and, you know, driving along and they want to tell a good story. And yeah, I picked her up in the 70s and she was pretty. And so it's just, it all depends on what they've heard and what they say, and you either take it as what they say or you don't. Lying.
Well, and the funny thing is, if there was some fact to it, we would have found out about it somehow through newspaper clippings, the police department, or something.
I mean, and being that long ago, it's definitely one of the isolated incidents.
Right. There's got to be more since then. And how do we know that White Rock has been as big as it is now? You know, things expand and contract and change and all that stuff. So there's got to be some more stuff.
Right.
Than just that. I bet you we could go out to Lake Louisville and do the same type of thing. You know, we could go to any of the lakes around here where there's been some accidental drownings.
Well, it's just things happen, and, you know, sometimes they don't get reported, and it's like with cemeteries. I've had people tell me, you know, why are cemeteries haunted? Why would a spirit that died at Parkland Hospital be way over here and in downtown Dallas in a cemetery somewhere? And so, I mean...
Well, and you know, we really don't have an explanation for why spirits hang out where they do. I mean, I don't know if you've kept up with us, but we've actually got 4 spirits in our house at any given time, and it's always the same spirits. And I've had people challenge me, you know, we've never heard of a spirit following somebody home and staying. Well, we do. We have one we brought back from Hotel Adolphus, who is a big spirit. He's a protective spirit. He loves to pick on Deegan. He loves to play little jokes. Most recently, he took my sunglasses and put them in my daughter's room where I couldn't find them. So, I mean, he's always here. My dad's here. We've got Deegan's sister here. And then we've got a spirit that Zach brought back with him from one of the forts that helps him out and kind of guides him on some stuff. So it's like at any given time, we've got anything here. Don't ask me why. I know why my dad's here. And I know why his sister's here, but I don't know why Adolphus stays. I guess he likes picking on us. I don't know. Maybe we treat him better than they did at the hotel. I don't know.
Well, it's like I like to pick on my mom, who's standing here watching me. She always tells me that, you know, hey there, that she can smell vanilla tobacco that my dad used to smoke in a pipe, and but she doesn't believe in ghosts. It's like, I don't believe in ghosts. They're not real. They don't happen. Get out of here. You're lying to me.
There's a difference between ghosts and spirits. That's what I say.
Okay.
And there is a difference between ghosts and spirits. She's right on that. There's a true definition. We actually did that on Tidbit Tuesday on our page. Spirits have never been attached to a human body, and ghosts have.
It's just...
See, I say it the other way. Ghosts are like lost souls that just roam the earth. Spirits are the... I really don't want to be on camera. Spirits are the souls of those who have departed who can make contact with us. So that's the difference that I say. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe there are spirits because I've had that happen. So I can sell tobacco when no one else can smell it.
Well, and it's funny because we have asked Deegan's sister, the first night that we ever did a dowsing rod session with her and talked to her, we actually asked her, from now on, when you come to visit us, will you let us know your presence by blowing smoke in our face? And so we're sitting here working on the computer. I've got this big old monitor, and so we sit side by side and we're working on the computer. And Deegan looks at me and he's like, I smell cigarette smoke. And I'm like, I do too. I'm like, what the hell? He always smokes outside. I don't smoke. He never smokes in the house, and he hadn't even been smoking like 10, 15 minutes before that. And so we're sitting here, we just smell it really strong. We're like, okay, go get the dowsing rods. And sure enough, we start talking to Pam. So we've told her, anytime you're around us or you're around the family, start blowing cigarette smoke. Well, I've had Deegan's sister message me on Facebook and say, I smelled smoke last night. I said, well, say hi to your sister. That's what we've asked her to do. But, people think that it's a haunting and that spirits have to move stuff to make their presence known. But, it's the same thing. Same thing goes for sounds as it does for smells.
When I had my office here in Terrell, when my husband was alive, he would come in and, take me to lunch or whatever, and he would kind of go straight through my office and go to the back and use the bathroom and come back and that kind of thing. Well, after he passed away, I would ask the girl who was working for me, who was a young black lady, I would say, can you smell that? And she would say, what? I said, just tell me, can you smell anything? And she's like, no, I don't smell anything. And, the smell of vanilla tobacco would literally be so strong it would knock you down. And wow. She couldn't smell it, but I could. And then, the back office door would come open, and then it would close. And she's like, what in God's name is that? And I was like, yeah, just tell Jimmy hi. And she's over there freaking out at her desk. Well, then a friend of mine called me one day, and she said, because it usually happened on days when I was stressed out or whatever.
Of course. And
a friend of mine called me one day. She worked down the street from my office, and she's like, are you having a bad day? And I said, well, no, not particularly. Are you? And she said, well, I'm just wondering, I'm driving by your office, and she said, it's the weirdest thing. She said, I got all the way down the street. Nothing happened. I got right in front of your office, and the inside of my car became so strong with the smell of vanilla tobacco. And then as soon as I was past your office, it was gone. Wow. And I said, well, Jimmy's just saying hi.
I think it's so cool because, I don't get, well, except for Pam, I don't really get any smells. I can see my dad walk through, and I've had people come over that don't know anything about the story of my dad, and they'll come in and they'll sit for a little bit, and they'll be a medium or sensitive, and they're like, Sherry, this is a short little Mexican in the corner that just won't shut up. I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. Dad, do you mind? And people are like, they look at me because I'm so serious. They're like, huh?
It's like I always get these weird looks from people because after my dad died, we had his flag put in a case because he was a police officer, and I was laying on the couch one night. And I guess I had the TV on, and I looked up, and I could swear that his face is in the flag case. And, I start asking people, and, my sisters are just like, dude, you're smoking crack. And it's
like, no, you see what you see.
Yeah. It's just, I guess that's just the way some people are.
Well, but some of us, I think those of us that truly believe, and have had that tie-in and had that experience, it's second nature for us to have that, where a lot of other people, it's more of a shock to them, because we've been out at Hood County Jail doing a light session and asking spirits to turn on the lights, and all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye I saw my dad, and so I was like, okay, first time I've ever done it. I'm like, Dad, if you're here, can you turn on all the lights? And every single light, all the motion lights in every single flashlight came on. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed, and I kind of looked at the team like, there you have it type thing. So you either have the belief or you don't. And I think those of us that have that belief and have that open-mindedness, I think we get a little bit more activity than those of us that are a little closed-minded. Like I said, I don't believe 100%, because if I did, why am I out there investigating to try to prove it? I'm still a skeptic, and I still want to find an answer for everything. I still want to debunk it. I still want to be able to say, oh no, that was the wind shutting that door, or it's at an angle so it's shut. I want to find some logical explanation, and when I can't, then it gets my attention.
Right. And I mean, it's like my house. My dogs sleep with me and my wife in our bedroom, and I'll get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom, and I have an armchair in my living room, and it just sit there and rocking back and forth. I'm not in there. The dogs aren't in there, so it's just like either my house has really bad foundation, or there's a really good draft on that chair. And
There's
it's,
something.
my wife has said that too, and she doesn't like it. She hates it. And I start telling people, well, it's all in your head, and it's not really moving. Well, crap. Come over to my house.
It's moving.
Watch the
You
chair.
can start talking to it and see who it is. Somebody likes to sleep in your living room.
I think I don't know if my landlord's mother had passed away in that house.
She passed away in the house.
Okay, so she did. It may be my landlord's old mother.
It may
You
be
need to
your
figure
dad.
that out. See, you've got a mystery right there in front of you to figure out. That's like we came back from being out of town this weekend, and I know we locked down everything tight, turned on the outside porch light and one light inside. And when we came home, Deacon's closet door was open and our bedroom light was on. So we're like, all right, the first thing that we looked at each other, we're like, Adolphus? Because that's the kind of stuff he'll do to us.
Well, it's like we have 4 dogs, and one of them is a basset hound. And, in the middle of the night, you just all night long. And I normally grab my light and my backup and walk outside just to make sure that somebody's not trying to break into the house. And there's just nothing there, and
You kind of have to chalk it up. It's kind of wild. Kind of wild.
that's why my wife hates it that I work nights, because she just gets creeped out. Things
creeped
moving
out.
in the house, dogs barking in the middle of the night.
See, I would too. And I'm used to being out doing stuff, but I probably would too. Well, we've got probably about 2 minutes left. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find Lone Star Paranormal?
You can find us everywhere.
Literally.
Like I said, I've got my personal Twitter, which is @TheJamesFalk. There is the Lone Star Twitter, which is, my memory serves me right. I think it's I think it's @LoneStarPara actually, and then there's @TheRev_LSPGHC. And then we're all over Facebook. And if you go to our Facebook, you can find the links to our Twitters and to our Facebooks. And
Find all you
just
guys.
find our mini pages. We'll give you candy if you find them all.
If you can find all of them, it's a scavenger hunt. You can
It's kind of like Where's Waldo, except it's Where's Lone
Where's
Star.
Lone Star?
Where's
Where's the red? Well, that's awesome. Well, James, thanks for being on. I hope we get together and go do Hotel Lawrence, just as long as I don't bring back another Adolphus, because I've already got one that's a pain in my side.
Since this is the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, y'all should do the Texas Theater.
Heck yeah, we should. I wonder if they'd let us in there.
It's an open public facility. It shouldn't be a problem.
We should just go in there and, just not wear our shirts and stuff and just kind of be like, oh, we're just snapping pictures. We're just tourists.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, they still show movies in there from time to time. Sit there with your K2 while the movie's going on.
It's only for special events. Though,
Oh, well.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to check into that.
That's where J.D. Tippett was killed, so...
There's history. Anything with history, you got my attention. Well, thanks for being on the show. Let's go do something together sometime soon and see what kind of fun we can kind of stir up. You have anything to add? Badass just kind of directs back over here. So funny.
I see the tattoos there in the
Yeah,
background.
that's all anybody ever sees. We saw it the other night. That's about it.
It's like me, I'm a hand.
That's all you see. So funny. Well, thanks again for being on the show. We want to also mention our sponsors and thank our sponsors. We've got Bravo Photography, which is Martin Bravo. So you guys look him up and give him a like. He's out on Facebook as well. We have First Cash Pawn, who supports the team. And we got some new equipment from them this past weekend. Hopefully we'll get our thermal out soon. And last but not least, Paranologies. We've got Jeremy Jones over there getting us all powered up with Paranologies. So we thank Jeremy for coming on board. If you guys want to sponsor the show, want to see your ad here, want us to talk about your business, hit us up. You can hit us up at dsparanormalcrew@yahoo.com. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week. And thanks for watching tonight.